So the irony here is that I've always been pro-life. As a child and even like into my early 20s, I always wanted children. I will say in hindsight, I realized like why there was that shift. And I see kind of worst case scenarios on a regular basis working in the NICU and going to deliveries. And this fear just was like, became very prominent and to the point that it was like ruling my life. So whenever I found out I was pregnant, obviously, the fear of that just ran my life. Deep down, like I knew I was pregnant. I had the symptoms. I just felt a little off. And I'd asked my now fiance to bring home a pregnancy test. Lo and behold, I take the test and it's positive. My now fiance, Joey, he had been in the shower and comes in and he's like, "You look white as a ghost. Like, what happened?" And I'm like, "You're going to be a dad." He recommended we go into and see a clinic and just discuss the possibility of an abortion. And at that time I was very much like, absolutely not, like this is wrong. I can't even go there. But at the same time, a piece of me was like, can I be redeemed for that? In that moment, this was like the thing that Satan tempted me with the apple, dangling it in front of me. Like, you can be redeemed. It's okay. There's going to be no consequences. You're going to feel better. Just all these lies that were being told to me. We just did like a Zoom call with a doctor, and he prescribed the mifepristone and the misoprostol. So Planned Parenthood is now just offering, they have two types of chemical abortions. So he mentioned the first one you take the first day, whenever you decide to, and it essentially just shuts off the progesterone and stops the growth of the baby. And then you wait 24 hours and then you took the misoprostol, and that is when the true abortion happens. There would be a lot of cramping and it would be very uncomfortable. Did not do an ultrasound, obviously, since it was virtual, so there was no way to know if it was going to be ectopic, which could have been catastrophic in hindsight. And if you ultimately decide to abort it and it's not confirmed that it's in the uterus, it could be deadly. And I was like, you know what, like, I need to get my life back. Selfishly, it was interfering with workouts. It was interfering with my job. I was calling in more. In a moment of weakness, I did take it. I went to sleep probably for about 2 hours and just woke up, just like sat up and was just like bawling. I kind of like to think in hindsight, like the Lord woke me up. From there, I did a Google search. I found the ABR, the abortion reversal, and immediately made an appointment, and they called me back within about 5 minutes. They hooked me up with Alternatives Pregnancy Center, and I had an appointment for early the next morning. It was terrifying coming in because I was like, you know, how did this happen to me? I'm pro-life. I believe that this baby deserves a life and is a life. From the second I walked in, everyone was very welcoming. I sat with a nurse and just kind of discussed my story and like where was my head at in that moment. From there, they called me back and they did an ultrasound, and there was not a single hint of judgment from anyone. The pregnancy centers are very pro-life, pro-gospel, pro-women. I came in and just kind of discussed with the nurse, and then with the doctor, they did an ultrasound, and I saw my baby's heartbeat for the first time. Hearing his heartbeat for the first time, it was magic, you know, something really shifts in you. And so I came home and I was like, okay, I'm reversing this. Like, this is not what I want. Here's our baby's heartbeat. And everything kind of changed in that moment. Don't get me wrong, I was still absolutely petrified, but I knew that even with all that fear, I could do it. I always had, like, at bedtime when I would say my prayers, like an affirmation of like how it was gonna go. I'm gonna get an IV on the first poke. My spinal's gonna go in flawlessly. It's gonna be one poke. It's gonna be fine. I go into my section on the 30th on no sleep. I think I woke up at like 11 p.m. and was scheduled for a 7:30 section. They unfortunately were not able to get the IV on the first poke. So that, as I had been affirming things, sends me off the rails. But honestly, like looking back, once it was in and like the second he started crying, it was like I was completely renewed on that table. I had a really hard time trusting the Lord throughout my pregnancy, and I fought it tooth and nail, but looking back, like, he had me the whole time. The irony with the pro-choice movement is that you're giving the initial choice to whether to continue the pregnancy or to abort. But for women like me who make a mistake, if you take away the abortion pill reversal, you've now taken an additional choice. Every conception that I had about motherhood, I thought I would be miserable, like waking up in the middle of the night, waking up when he cries, all of these lies. And that is not the case at all. Like him looking at me is just like the most precious thing. He's changed so much. He's about 3 weeks old now. And just every day is like an adventure. It's just magic.